Today I'm joined by Marc Bridgen. Marc is the owner of the Dog at Wingham, an award-winning historic inn with a contemporary twist, serving delicious drinks, fabulous food, and offering 8 luxury ensuite rooms. So, hi, Marc.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. So, Marc, look, tell us, or first of all, just tell us a little bit more about your business, the Dog at Wingham.
So we've been. It's almost 8 years since we got the keys to the Dog. So yeah, it's a beautiful old coaching inn. It's on the main road between Canterbury and Sandwich. So two very historic and important cities, towns. Yeah, and we understand there's been an inn on this site since sort of the 12th, 13th century. It Yeah, it's a fabulous old building, which gives us a huge amount. It's also very challenging running a very old building. So yeah, we got the keys 8 years ago. The plan was to give it a bit of a clean up and maybe a redecoration, and then open reopen after a couple of weeks. But that wasn't the reality. We found that the kitchen got condemned, so we went through the process of a total refurbishment. Literally from the sump pump to the chimney pots, everything needed work, and we got it all done in four months. And we reopened for a friend's wedding for 100 people in October 2016. And what really the real driving force between the look and the feel is my mother Marilyn, who I own the Dog with. She wanted to make a place that she wanted to go to. And so, yeah, it's this beautiful old building, but as you say, with a very contemporary style throughout. Well designed from almost every seat is bespoke, and there's like 60 seats in the building, so there's a real attention to detail, and that follows through in everything we do. So there's 8 rooms. There's still the pub element. So when we're with a big part of our marketing is as a gastro pub. So we have that traditional pub, bar with but just a bit more comfortable. So a lot of people are shocked when they walk in because it has carpet, and they're like, "Can I wear my muddy boots in?" And we're like, "Yeah, come in. It's a pub." So you can have a pint of real ale or a pint of lager, cider, Guinness, whatever, or you can have a really sophisticated cocktail, glass of English sparkling wine. So everything's elevated. So we have the pub feel. And then we have, 50 cover restaurant serving incredible food. We're very proud. We're number 16 in the Estrella Dam top 50 Gastro Pubs, and that's probably the thing that the whole team are most proud of. So you're always going to get a warm welcome into a traditional pub, but then receive drinks and food and a stay with service that we feel is above many places around here.
So let's dig into that, because I saw that, and look, see you got on your t-shirt as well, the top 50, but you're number 16, aren't you? Which is great in that top 50 of gastro pubs. So why, in your view, what has meant that you're at number 16, but also what do you think could take you higher?
So it's taken a long time. I think we've been in the list now for 4 or 5 years. We got into the top 50. Well, actually, it started with we first, because you can't enter the top 50, you can't apply. But we were able to apply for their front of house team of the year. So that is a category that you can enter. And I think on our 3rd year of entering, we won that.
Wow.
And I think, if my memory serves me right, possibly in the same year, we were listed in the top 50 for the first time. I think we first got in at number 49.
Okay.
And then I think the climb has been down to, firstly, once you're recognised within the list, you then find more and more people visiting you because you're in it. And then we've just managed to consistently, in fact, one year we dropped out during COVID to really support the industry. They extended the list to 100, and we dropped into the 50s. but then we had a huge jump. I think it was about in the 20s.
Okay.
And then in last January to number 16. And I think what's enabled that has been a really consistent delivery of an exceptional food offering, and something that we've just tweaked continuously. So, from day one, fantastic food has been probably our core aim. But I think any restaurateur, any pub operator would agree that it's consistency is your biggest challenge. And so we've been consistent probably for 4 or 5 years now, but certainly the first 3 years it just wasn't there. And once you achieve that consistency, and funny enough, I was speaking to a guest this morning, and they stopped using their local because they had such a terrible experience there. And I can't claim that we get it right 100% of the time, but 99% of the time we get it right. And if we get it wrong, the way that we deal with whatever the issue is always surprises people. So that climbing up the list has been through a consistent delivery of fantastic food, but then also trying to continually tweak and elevate it. So in the earlier days, we didn't do sort of a chef's amuse-bouche when guests were eating a la carte, and we've added that. And with our we do a monthly celebration menu, which is a different theme that gives our chefs a chance to really show off their passion and their skills, and it gives our guests a chance to experience something different every month. Because although we change our menu seasonally, the real aim is to have regulars. And when a menu's only changing every 2-3 months, giving them a different menu each month, or we have our lunch menus different. So it's being able to give variety, twinned with consistency in product. And yes, how do we climb up the list? So that is the brilliant thing is that's the real aim of our chefs. That is what they're all focused on, and to the point where we entered one of our young chefs into a competition a couple of weeks ago, and he had to write a little his aims and hopes and achievements for the coming 12 months, and off his own back he put in there to go up further up the top 50 list. So it's something that the whole team, it gives them a real focus and drive to keep striving for excellence and improvement.
Like that, that's good. So, sorry, Polly, I'm just making some notes whilst you were speaking there. But so, things that I picked up there that you sort of said was not just outstanding food and service, but consistency of doing that as well is what I sort of picked up. And dealing with issues, if any issues or problems do come up, dealing with them in a really great way. And then the other thing I really liked there was that you said that team focus, everybody's focused on, right, okay, we want to continue to climb up that ladder. So you've got a common goal of what you want to achieve. Okay.
Yeah. And it runs, we're a relatively small property. We're not a massive business. But so we have a dedicated bookings function. That is part of our product. So for us, we want even if they're not even a guest yet, if someone makes an inquiry, we want them to have a 5-star engagement from the minute, whether they engage with us by picking up the phone, an email, social media, though we get back to them in almost instantly. They get a well-informed, comprehensive response with lots of options. And so their experience is 5-star from the minute they engage with us. And then when they arrive, I'll probably say it more than once in our chat today, a warm welcome. It's a mantra amongst the team. Because it's an old building, the front, the door opens, you can hear it. Wherever you are, you can hear when the front door opens.
Okay.
And the training for the staff is that wherever they are, their ears prick up and they get to the front door and they welcome the guest in. And if we get that right, and then serve them brilliant drinks, and then consistently deliver an amazing food product, and then the service around it, and our reviews on Google, TripAdvisor, they are outstanding.
Mm.
And it is, a number of, not everyone, but a number of team members will get named within there. We've just had a guest for lunch, and they had a melon sorbet, and the lady was from South Africa. She said, she would come back from South Africa just for that, and then, by chance, managed to, on the way out, have a conversation with the chef about how he makes it. And so it's every single member of the team knows that what's the value in delivering the best possible experience for the guest, because it gives the guest value, but it gives the business value.
Yeah.
We are trying in challenging times, we're trying to be a business, but the team also understand that it then the service charge that they earn is a significant part of their pay. So if the guests have the best possible experience and they get value in every step of it, they'll be back.
Yeah. And how do you measure that, Mark, in terms of customer experience? Do you have questionnaires, surveys? Do you actively encourage reviews? How do you
Yeah, absolutely. So every assuming someone's booked, it's a bit more tricky when someone walks in, because we don't always capture their contact details. But 90% of our bookings are pre-booked, and after in the following day they receive an email. Thank you for they receive a follow-up email thanking them for choosing the dog and asking them to give us a review on either TripAdvisor or Google. Or there's a few others that we also mention. But also we say, if any aspect of your visit wasn't perfect, please hit reply so that we can address it for your next visit and for future customers. And we get, like I say, we get a lot of online reviews, but we get a lot of emails. I think that's probably partly due to we even get cards and letters. I think the nature of the demographic of our client base, Monday to Thursday, primarily retired people, older guests, and many of them will send a personal email, or we'll write a card, send a letter. So it's just encouraging the feedback. I can't be here for every single service. We're doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. So for us to encourage our guests to give us the feedback, and we want it all, good, bad, or ugly. And like I say, 99% of it is 5-star. Your guests couldn't be happier. But we're equally happy because we can't improve, we can't fix it, we can't change it. You don't learn from getting everything right all the time. You only learn when that guest gives you the feedback, and it can be on minuscule. Because we're a foodie place. When foodies come in, they'll give you everything from the temperature of the amuse-bouche through to the consistency of their starter through and we love that. We absolutely thrive on it.
And I guess the key thing that I think with feedback is, one, as you've said there, is asking for it and making sure you get it, good and bad. But two, acting on it as well, isn't it?
We respond. We don't. In the years ago, we tried to respond to every review on TripAdvisor, Google, etc. But there's just too many. There's too many, and it was too labor intensive. But if we anything in writing via email or obviously post, we respond. Without fail, typically same day.
But there's acting on it in responding, but there's also acting on it in taking action, in saying,
"Oh yeah, of course.
What was it that they said, and how do we change that? How do we implement it? How do we, do something slightly different or address
the customer feedback? So if it's on the food, sometimes it will result in us changing the way a dish is the elements or presented, or if we need to make changes to a dish, we will. Not on every piece of feedback, because obviously it's very subjective, and some of it's down to an individual's taste. But if we get repeated feedback, it will result in a review of a dish. But particularly around the rooms, if a guest feels that there's something could be tweaked or missing, or because there's a heavy throughput of guests, we can quickly find, you can check a room on a Monday, and by the following Monday, something has failed. We actually had a lock on a room fail this weekend, and the guest tells us, and we're fixing it that day. And so
let's
and
go back
also
to
I think
let's go back to the beginning a little bit there, Mark, and sort of why, because you mentioned that you bought the dog back in 2016. Why did you decide to become a business owner? What made you? Because you've previously had jobs, haven't you? What made you decide to be a business owner?
I'm a serial entrepreneur. I first career was in technology.
Mm-hmm.
Then, in fact, I had a couple of careers in technology. Then had an events business, the Oil and Gas Awards in North America. As a family, and this is a family business. I do pretty much everything I've done. I've always done with my brother, and then probably about 9 years as a family, we've always done property in the background, whether it be rental properties, refurbishments, and flips. And so and we as a family, we had an estate agency years ago. So property's always been a significant part of our kind of business portfolio. So I joined the family property business to try and accelerate the growth in that, because it had been ticking along nicely, my mother and stepfather, but it needed to accelerate, particularly at the stage of life they were at. This is about 9-10 years ago. So joined family property business, and things started moving quite rapidly. My mother, Marilyn, interior designer. So we would find the sites, make the tweaks, the changes, do the build, and she would then do the interiors. She did the interiors for two hotels for another hotelier, and she got a real passion for it. So she came to board meeting as it was and said, right, let's get a hotel. And I was dead against it, because one, we had a pretty good thing going on the property side, and I do believe in focus, but also because I know hospitality, particularly pubs, restaurants, are very, very challenging. It's the hospitality industry is notoriously challenging. It wasn't my aim. I knew how much I would love it, but I knew how difficult and challenging an industry it is. That's how we got into it, and it is obviously in many ways been hugely successful, but on the basis that in our fourth year COVID struck, and since then we've had the war in Ukraine and the utility crisis, the hyperinflation, all that. It's been even more challenging than anyone could ever expect or imagine. It wasn't a plan, but only through uni I worked in a pub, and I had an events business, which is corporate, yet it's also the hospitality element to it. So I knew a lot about it, and I knew I would love it, but it's for anyone watching this who's thinking about getting into hospitality, you have to understand how challenging it is across a whole range.
What's the biggest challenge that you faced in being a business owner?
We've over the last 8 years, we've had a whole host of different challenges. At one point, there were huge within hospitality. There were huge human resource problems. Hiring chefs was a real challenge at one stage. But I think probably right now that the focus needs to be around since COVID was obviously challenging for everyone. We were just closed down, so that's you can't even do your business. And actually, when we reopened through COVID and after COVID, we were absolutely flying. We were doing incredibly well as a business. But since the war in Ukraine started, it has been almost, well, it's not been devastating for us, but I know lots and lots of pubs, restaurants, hotels that have closed down. And it's the utility crisis has been a significant problem. Our our annual utility bill, quite well publicised. I've done a lot of press around this. Our annual utility bill went from around £36,000 a year to about £100,000 a year.
Wow.
Overnight. And on the scale of our business, that's kind of all the profits and some of the some of the owners' income as well.
Yeah.
So that was the immediate problem in the summer of 22. And obviously with that starting the war in Ukraine, we've all seen the hyperinflation, whether it be at the fuel tank, your shopping basket, everything. We've seen it in building materials, fertilizers affecting agriculture, affecting food. It's been challenging for everyone. But hospitality business such as this, we buy everything in huge volumes. We're constantly working on the property.
So you mentioned there, Mark, that some other pubs, restaurants, hotels have closed down. Why? What's made you different? What's made you able to survive? How have you overcome all those challenges and they're very valid challenges, by the way, that you've faced?
Okay, so a lot of places that have closed down, that I'm aware of, in many cases they're tenants. They work in the more traditional tenant brewery model, and I've spoken to these tenants, these landlords, and what they paid themselves, their income. Overnight, it became their utility bill. So they were just working to pay the utility provider. So they no longer had an income. They had to close. And I'm talking tens of pubs just in the Kent area. We're set up differently here in that we do own the site. We're a freeholder, free of tie. So we don't have that landlord expecting rent. We're better set up to weather the storm. So
you had more sort of, if I call it, like flexibility to adjust things.
Actually, no. The reality is that the landlord, as in the freeholder, in the way we're set up, she just doesn't get the rent.
Yeah.
So Marilyn, who owns the building, she doesn't get the rent in these tough times.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate. We're fortunate in the way we're structured as a business. Now, that's kind of the very black and white way of putting it. Obviously, the grayer area is that we have just been able to create a bolder, better, bigger product. So we've managed to sustain very high occupancy. I think where my read is that where it's been a very challenging market for everyone, when people are going out at the moment, they are really choosing kind of quality. When they're going to part with their hard-earned cash over the last couple of years. So we've remained busier than most. But I know, I speak to lots of landlords and restaurateurs, hoteliers around here. We're all really feeling the same problems. Margin is almost non-existent because of the inflation. There's only so far we can push our drinks and our food prices and our room prices. So we're trying to hold our prices whilst the inflation's pushing everything that we buy up. So the margin, and then now because everyone's feeling those pressures at home, we're seeing it hitting footfall. Yeah. So it's just very, very challenging for almost anyone I speak to in hospitality at the moment. Which is, and the frustration and the reason we can and will survive it is that we're just set up a little different to most. We own the site, we don't have to make the rent, and we are efficiency. That's the main thing we're working on constantly, which is difficult for the team. We're a people culture led business, and that is the first people we take care of is our team. We're nothing without the incredible team we have here. But then their job is to take care of people who are our wonderful guests. And so, everything we do is about making sure the team are well, they are okay, they are, community. We have we work with a company called Chefs Partnership, who provide mentoring and training to the team of chefs in the front of house. So we invest heavily in our team and our people, and then educate them that taking care of the people that walk through the door is what we're all about, to ensure that they come back and we are as sustainable as possible as a business.
And you mentioned earlier that you're a serial entrepreneur. So if I said to you, what would you say are the top three, if I had to ask three words that described a great entrepreneur, what three words would you use, Mark?
You have to be brave.
Yeah.
You have to be focused, and you have to be resilient.
Okay. I like those. Brave, focused, and resilient. And
it's all. I mean, I think that's just for the entrepreneur, but for a startup, it's all about, it's about the team. There's very few ideas or products or businesses that haven't been thought of before, haven't been done before. You need to have an excellent idea, but then you need to be able to execute it, and you need to have the right team around you to execute it and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Okay, look,
that is the key to the success of the dog. It is, I can't labor the points enough. It is all about the team. And as a team, we make sure that the property, we're custodians of this building, so we all work hard to keep it clean and tidy and well repaired. And our handyman, he should probably move in. It's kind of never ending. We're proactive in servicing our refrigeration equipment, our kit, everything, because we can't have something break down on us, because it will then affect what we're delivering to our guests. So the team works incredibly hard to maintain the site and the equipment, and then to welcome our guests and to give them the best experience. And that constant train, it's, I think, probably mentor, that's kind of my role, is to mentor the team, to make them, to communicate to them how important it is that we consistently do every small and big things. They all add up to give the guest the best possible experience. And I always dreamed of regular drinkers and regular diners. I never thought we'd have regular residents, but we do. We have people that come and stay here, every month, every couple of months, and I think that's real testament, when there's so many places to go, so many, when people travel to you from across the country. We even have some international regulars. People travel to come here because of how the team take care of them and the experience they give them.
I always say that it's a great leader. It's a leader's job to look after the team, and it's a team's job to look after the clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And as the saying goes, there's no such thing as a bad employee, only a bad manager. So it very much comes from the top. So look, one question I like to ask everyone that I interview, Mark, is, what is the best advice you would give to an 18-year-old you?
I probably could have worked a bit harder at school. And I probably could. I was fortunate enough to go to university, and I didn't really get my head around that or embrace it as much as I should have done. So I really only started to understand it in the third year, and it was kind of a bit late by then because of all the fun I'd had. So specifically to me, yeah, probably just it would have been working a bit hard. I'm a huge, particularly now in what I do, huge believer in education and
Mm,
maximizing the opportunity. Particularly now when it is so expensive to the individual. All these kids going to uni, stacking up all these bills, and
mm,
are they really? Because my brother and I were two sides of a coin. I went to university and took that whole journey. He knew he didn't want to, so our parents gave him some money to start his first business
mhm.
at 18.
Yeah,
So, um, but I suppose the translation in that is whatever you're going to do, you cannot work hard enough
yeah,
at it, and that I think, is um, to myself or to anyone, particularly when you're young, you just have, if you know, if what you want to do is, create, build, grow, make success in business, you just have to work so hard. Full commitment, focus, and passion. Yeah, and if you're not loving it, don't do it. Go and
mm.
find something you're passionate about. That is the most important thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's yeah, great advice there. Work hard and find something that you're passionate about. And look, we never stop learning, do we? It's always, whether we're
No,
learning at school or university or in business, there's always things to continue learning. So yeah, great advice. Okay. Well, look, Mark, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today
pleasure.
and sharing more about your business, but also your journey as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks.